Hey guys, welcome to Anarchy Worm Bin for the final on the frozen versus unfrozen. I have a definitive answer, at least an opinion. I am freezing from now on. I have never had a problem with fruit flies. And then remember last time I put in a frozen banana and one that was just rotting on the counter, going bad, like all bananas do. And I know that fruit flies or the larvae come in the fruit that we buy. I get it, I'm okay with that. But this one, maybe 4 or 5 days after I fed, and so what you guys last saw, I wasn't thinking. I just opened the lid, and in the unfrozen banana bin, at least 10, maybe more fruit flies flew out, and they were in here for days. I was sucking them up with the vacuum. I've really never had a problem with fruit flies. I've been doing this for a few years, and I bet I've had like 5-10 max in all that time. And I don't consistently freeze, or at least I didn't until I started like really having more scraps than I could take care of. So I would just put them in bags, put them in the freezer. Now that I have enough worms, I freeze them on purpose, and I try to do that to minimize fruit flies. It was obvious, like so many fruit flies. And then even a couple days later, see, I'm seeing them right now. They're still coming out of the bin. Oh my, it's maddening. So I will get these guys sorted, and I'll show you any worm activity that I find. And I might swear a few times about the fruit flies. Off camera, of course. Okay, this is the unfrozen bin, and no fruit flies are immediately flying out. Remember, I fed right here in the middle. I did check on these guys midweek, and they had a lot more action in the frozen bin. The viewers of the last video, the people who commented, were absolutely right. Like, they swarmed it. The unfrozen got eaten first. But this banana is empty. They just left the skins. They just gutted these. And they're all gutted. Remember, this is the unfrozen. I have to check. Remember, I have like a 2-second memory. Okay, this one has some left, and they're really not here in the middle. So, where are you, my dudes? I see another fruit fly. I don't know if I mentioned, but I had no fruit fly activity in the other bin at all. The castings look really good. I love Euro's castings. They are larger, dark. They're beautiful. I'll go through this a little bit more. I just want to see exactly where they are and show you guys before I sort this out. They are big and beautiful and look like they're doing fine. Frozen bin. Just looking at the lid for mites or anything that you guys might be interested in. Not a whole lot of mite activity. There's a little guy. Honestly, the skins and what's left of these bananas seems very similar. So, like I pointed out last time, I realize consumption will be a little bit faster with frozen food because the freezing process breaks the cell wall. But you're going to be fine if you don't freeze your food. If you just throw it in, you're not doing anything wrong. Well, these guys are about in the same spot. There are 2 little cocoons. I don't know if you can see them. I don't like picking them up with my giant Viking hands because I feel like I'll crush them. But they're all over here in this corner. There's actually 3 over here. That one looks very, very freshly laid. Okay, so not a huge difference. I'm going to sort both, and I will weigh all of the ways and do all of the things, the science things, and again, I'll be watching your worm videos while I'm doing it, so please make more videos. If you don't make videos, who's going to? I can't make all the videos. Okay guys, I've got the worms out of the, oh man, what bin am I on? The frozen bin. I did the frozen bin first. I got as many out as I could. They always have a little bit of compost on them, or dirt, or food waste, but I got as much off as I could. And they're so mad at me right now, so I'm trying not to handle them too much, but they're gonna go right back in the anarchy worm bin. And then I pulled out all of this. This is mostly shredded cardboard. I've been using just this little beach toy to sand. It's tiny. I wouldn't suggest like getting one for this job. I just happen to have one that fit on this little plastic bin, which I also don't recommend you use. I just used it for this experiment. But these castings are ridiculous. It's the European Nightcrawler castings. I've never seen anything like it. I think they're just a bit bigger. They're crumbly, still moist. I just can't believe that just that small amount of time. Oh, there's still a couple worms in there. Sorry guys. Anyway, I'll get to the next bin. I just wanted to show you how the compost was coming out, and I'll have all the numbers for you in a bit too. Okay, I think I've got both bins sorted. It didn't take me long. Again, the castings for the European Nightcrawlers are awesome. They sort fast, and it was pretty easy. One note I want to make: these are avocados from the non-frozen bin. They just never really broke down, which is weird to me because like my avocado gets slimy if it's old. They get mushy and brown. These guys are this weird color green, and I've seen this before in my bins. When I don't freeze, the avocado just doesn't break down. I have about the same amount. I'll weigh everything like I said, but the castings again are just awesome. They're so cool. They feel so cool. They feel almost as cool as a handful of worms, which, speaking of, here's the Euros from the frozen bin. Again, these guys are not happy. There were not as many cocoons. There were more cocoons in the frozen bin, and I have a feeling that there's a bigger worm population. I found one thing that was disturbing. I did find one worm that looks like he's either got the string of pearls, the protein poisoning I think it's called, where they get little lumps along them. Either that or he's having a really rough day. I almost wanted to put him out of his misery, but I had to weigh him because they need all the help they can get. So he's in there with his buddies, and I hope he gets feeling better. I don't think he will. So I'm not sure. I don't think that would have any bearing on frozen versus non-frozen. I really don't. I've heard it happens sometimes with feeding greens or just too much protein or being too acidic. I've heard so many things. It's never happened to my worms, so I guess now I have something else to worry about. I'll go read about that tonight. I'm gonna weigh everything, and I'll be back probably in the morning with some numbers. Thanks. Okay, to wrap up, the frozen bin did better. Of course, you guys saw that one coming. I started with 2.5 ounces of worms in each bin. They were carefully weighed out when I ended. So that was April 20th, ended June 29th. I had gained 0.32 ounces of worms in the frozen bin, and I actually lost some worms in the unfrozen bin. I came out with negative 0.14. I have a theory. I know that these were Euros. So my first experiment, I had reds in those little tiny bins. These were Euros. These were tiny bins. Euros are much bigger. I got some amazing casting out of it, but I feel like they didn't have enough room to grow, and they didn't. I also had the one worm with protein poisoning. It's also called sour crop or string of pearls. I'm gonna post a link to an amazing article I just read from Steve at Urban Worm Company, where he also cites LJ Shire and someone else from a Facebook blog. That, long story short, you need a buffer. If you guys remember my last feeding, I had a banana, one that was rotting on the counter, one that was frozen, and just threw them in there. No buffer. And I think that was my downfall, because it does have to do with, I'm not going to recite the whole article, this is already too long, but you do need a buffer. Garden lime, rock dust, crushed eggshell, one or all, some mixture. I usually go a third, a third, a third, or at least something to give them something to help with their gizzard or their crop. Anyway, please use a buffer. I had no idea it was that important, but I really think that's what did it. I had minimal mites in either bin. I really didn't see very many. Again, there wasn't much room in those bins. If I did this again, which I won't, because there are already a lot of experiments, much better than mine going right now. Emily, the crazy worm lady, Wayne Tadlock is doing an experiment, a similar experiment. So check out the experimental worm bin on Facebook. You'll see all kinds of great stuff there. But if I had it to do over again, I can't remember what I was gonna say. The fruit flies were ridiculous. I'm going to freeze my food from now on. I usually do. I just didn't realize it could get that bad. And total castings, 25.71 ounces. So this guy's full. Amazing castings. Urals do a really good job. They're still, I've been keeping it as moist as I can. I have a little cantaloupe in here just in case any little stragglers come up. And I've already had a couple and gotten them back into the bin. Everybody's home safe and getting bigger now that they have plenty of room to grow. And I am sorry that this took so long to post, to make. Really wasn't that complicated of an experiment, but it was fun. I've been out in the garden. That's my garlic that I harvested yesterday. And then I've been building a continuous flow through and a bin for my newly purchased Vermi Mini. I'm so excited. And it's in my favorite color, wine. Thank you so much for coming along, and I will post more updates as soon as I can. But I am having a lot more fun in the garden right now. Thanks, guys.